Dubbed The Fight, Marvin Hagler and Tommy Hearns put on what is perhaps the best example of excitement in boxing. The bout went 3 rounds and makes waves on social media still to this day. Over 30 years later, Hagler versus Hearns still holds as a great example of boxing and is the most exciting 9 minutes of fighting you will ever see. In this technical readout, we are going back in time and looking at Hagler versus Hearns. The fight showcased 2 fighters from the 1980s Fab Four consisting of Hagler, Hearns, Roberto Duran, and Sugar Ray Leonard. Marvin Hagler was 62-2 at the time and held the WBA and IBF World Middleweight titles. Having beat Roberto Duran in 1983, Hagler was ready to scratch another of the Fab Four off of his list. Hearns, who moved up to middleweight from super welterweight, took on the tough task of boxing with the powerful Hagler. Hearns too had a win over Roberto Duran as well as Sugar Ray Leonard. Times were different and the best fighters actually fought the best in boxing, which is what made the Fab Four so much fun. Press conferences were heated as Hagler and Hearns were scheduled to fight until Hearns was forced to pull out due to a hand injury.
Complaining about his little baby pinky. You know how many people will give $1 million for that little baby pinky?
Both men were confident going into the fight that they would be named the better man.
From April 15 and 3 rounds. I would be the greatest.
His best defense is his offense, because that's the only way that he knows how to fight. In my way, I had to make my defense my best offense.
On April 15, 1985, the two would step into the ring at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada. It was time for war. Marvin Hagler was coming to take your head off your shoulders. In 60 wins, he won 50 by way of knockout. Hagler was a dangerous man. Hearns, on the other hand, came to box. Very tricky, unorthodox, and quick, he provided a unique challenge to Hagler that made the fight a dynamite stylistic matchup. Ring announcer Chuck Hall gave the announcements as tension was rising in the arena.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is Thomas the Hitman Hearns, the undisputed middleweight champion of the world, Marvin Hagler.
The bell rings and the bull has been set loose in the china shop. Marvin Hagler sets the tone early. From the second the two meet in the middle, Hagler comes over the top looking for a kill. Hearns is caught off guard a bit and uses the jab to keep Hearns off of him and circle away from the power hand of Hagler. Hagler comes with a hook to the body and goes upstairs and clips Hearns, backing the hitman to the ropes. Hagler stalks Hearns and Hearns responds with a whopping 5-punch combo to shake up Hagler. Cross, step back, lead uppercut, right hook, rear uppercut, and then pushing off Hagler. But Hagler is still coming forward. Hagler comes here with a left. Hearns goes to the body, but Hagler's arm is dropped to block the impending shot. Hagler comes with a leaping left hook that is slipped by Hearns. Hearns fires back one of his own, which is slipped by Hagler. The right cross is fired at Hagler's face, which he leans to his left. Another left hook from Hearns that misses the mark with a lean back from Hagler. Hagler comes in spamming hooks and catches Hearns right on the chin, snapping his head back. Hagler goes on the hunt looking for a finish as Hearns is hurt. Being on the hunt so aggressively has its consequences, and Marvin Hagler starts to pay those dues. Hearns is alive and well despite the best efforts from Hagler, and Hearns settles in, beginning to box, generally fighting his fight. Hagler isn't coming at Hearns as fast and is getting beat on the outside. In the first exchange, you see Hearns back out again, shifting left and right. He bounces right and then left and then right again, throwing a punch off the bounce. The brilliance behind this is the footwork. In one fluid motion, Tommy Hearns pushes off of his back foot, generating power for the right hand and trapping Marvin Hagler by gaining the outside advantage with his left foot on the step in. There's a punch coming from Hagler's left and a trip to the right, which has Hagler caught with nowhere to go, and he must eat the punch. Hearns has seen what happens on the inside with Marvin Hagler and makes the adjustment. Here we can see Hagler chasing down Hearns, not cutting the ring off. Hearns does a good job of letting Hagler get just close enough to follow, but not close enough where he can't get out of harm's way. Then, for 35 seconds, Tommy Hearns is forced to spend time with Marvin Hagler in the pocket in the corner. Hagler has Hearns trapped. Hearns is stuck and needs to get out, but he spends time not capitalizing on the opening he has made to escape and is punished for it. You can see him chicken wing and return back to the corner. Hearns needs to use the space that he's created from moving Hagler around to get out of the corner, which eventually he does, but that's not before the two hammer each other. Hearns consistently pushes Hagler back and allows Hagler to punch him. When Hearns fires back, Hagler is not worried about the power. Eventually, Tommy Hearns does pivot out to his right. Shortly after that exhausting exchange, Hearns makes the same mistake but out in the open. He pushes Hagler away and throws punches of his own that miss the mark. Hagler comes with an uppercut, then a 2-1 that stumbles Hearns backwards. Round 2 begins and Tommy Hearns is back to the smart game plan. Here he stick and jabs Hagler, circling away from the power hand. Marvin Hagler slowed down a bit from the insane pace pushed in the first round. Being the bigger guy, Hagler slows down quicker than Hearns, giving Hearns more of the advantage as the fight goes on. The showmanship of Tommy Hearns gets him in trouble at times as well. He's flashy and exciting to watch, but here, Hearns dips and drops his left shoulder for the hook. Hagler isn't quite slow enough to get caught by this haymaker yet and reads it, then he dips. Hearns pivots on his lead foot, swinging out his back foot to the left, but the expecting of the right hook of Hagler has Hearns dipping to his right, and Hagler fires a monstrous uppercut that knocks back Tommy Hearns. Here's just a beautiful combination from Tommy Hearns. Hearns throws the straight right, loading up on his left foot. He comes underneath the guard of Hagler, pelting the body. Full hip torque from the feet on up here makes this punch so devastating. Near the end of round 2, Hearns is exhausted and can't run from Hagler any longer. Being on your back foot all the time is constant motion and is incredibly tiring. The two are shoulder to shoulder again, and Hearns gives Hagler a little too much space off the jab that misses. Marvin Hagler comes over the top with a right cross that hurts Hearns, and Hagler continues to rumble. Marvin Hagler has a bloodied face here, but it is he who is landing the shots that hurt the most. Round 3 is here, and there's no way these men are making out of this fight conscious. Tommy Hearns has exerted so much energy, and perhaps the extra weight could have taken its toll on the super welterweight champion. Regardless, Hearns is still the faster man. But in a game of inches like boxing often is, the slight slowing down of Hearns will be his demise. The beginning of round 3 is much as the same as round 2. Hearns is circling and sticking to the jab. The finish sees Tommy Hearns throw a jab off the mark. To keep the opening, Marvin Hagler knocks down the hand of Hearns with his left and comes over the top with a right hook. It lands right behind the ear, knocking Hearns off balance. When Hagler catches up, Hearns hasn't turned around quite yet and is out of position. He retreats to the ropes in fear for his life and gets caught doing so. It's then that marvelous Marvin Hagler almost Superman punches Tommy Hearns, lunging with a huge straight right. It connects on the chin of Hearns. Hagler's momentum brought him underneath Hearns, holding up his length opponent, but when Hagler backs out, Hearns is down, falling to the floor, and is out for the count. And that is the best 3 rounds in boxing history. I challenge you to find a better example. Marvin Hagler would only go on to box twice more. A win over John Mugabe and a close split decision loss to Sugar Ray Leonard that many contest to this day. The fight between Hagler and Hearns is iconic and will represent boxing's best for years to come. But what I think is best about the fight is how, even in the midst of chaos, there are subtle shifts in tides that drastically change the outcome of the fight, like a butterfly effect. Hagler was beginning to gas and started to get outboxed by Hearns. But the slight slowing down of Tommy Hearns allowed Marvin Hagler to stay in the fight and connect on the chin several times, stealing the night from Tommy Hearns. Thanks for watching.